From super light gliders to super high flyers, today's Kite Maker does it all. Welcome back to Skyrider Limited. Today on the Kite Maker Corner, we are meeting Richard Cairncross. Richard is an artist, an innovator, a scientist, an interesting guy. He builds his own everything pretty much. He builds gliders, some really incredible gliders that have some immense levels of control. His own indoor quad. He plays with materials and mediums that very few other kite artists do, and I really enjoyed getting to hear his answers to some of these questions. For a reminder, for those of you who are new, the Kite Maker Corner questions are: what is your favorite kite you have ever owned, your favorite kite you have ever flown, and your favorite design? So let's dive right into Richard's answers. We're back again for another Kite Maker Corner. I'm with Rich Cairncross.
Hi.
Rich, you make some really cool indoor gliders, some quads, some outdoor kites too, I think, yeah?
Yep.
And actually, if you're watching the channel, you'll see Rich's performances from the indoor competition here at the National Convention somewhere on the channel. But today we're going to do Kite Maker Corner. So 3 questions for you.
Yep.
Favorite kite you've ever owned, your favorite kite you've ever flown, and your favorite kite design.
And these are tough questions. I would say if I think about my favorite kites, was flown the first one?
Yeah.
Owned,
but orders. Yeah, we work with it.
It doesn't matter. So I think if it's a favorite kite that I own, that ought to be a kite that I didn't make, rather than one that I made. Because generally, I love flying things that I have made. And gosh, I should have thought of answers to this question before I got to think through my kite bag about
well, that's the best part is I if you didn't know this already, and I probably said this in the intro to this video, because of course you don't know this, but it's nice intros. I do nice, cold opens and everything. I ambush all these guys.
Yep.
So Rich got about 2 minutes of warning on this. So
I'm gonna skip on to flown.
Okay.
Instead of instead of own, and I may come back to the own one because I'm gonna have to think a little hard about that. Because all the kites that I think about that I really like are the ones that I've made. Because there's something special about when you're flying a kite that you've made, you're more connected to it in the whole process.
I think it can be a kite you made. I think that's perfectly reasonable.
And so I really like low wind kites. Like Jesse said, I fly a lot of kites indoors. I make kites for indoors. And usually my favorites are also the most recent. And so actually for the flown one, I'm gonna go with the Janus kite that I've this spring or actually this summer and fall I've made 4 of them, starting with Bill Biggie's plans for the Janus and working my way up to making different modifications. I've been intrigued about that kite forever. And basically because it's designed specifically to be super light and to have a really good reverse glide. And then when you pull it, it climbs really steeply. And a lot of kites do that, but this one's supposed to have more of that action. And I've been intrigued about it forever. And so I finally made it. And it'll fly indoors. It'll also fly outdoors. But I just love the action and that you're not passive when you fly that kite.
Sure.
Because you launch it and then you pull it in, it gets up high and you let it go. And a few weeks ago I was at a music festival and I was flying one of these in really low wind conditions and variable conditions. Mm-hmm. But I got it out on 800 feet of line and it wouldn't stay in the sky on its own. And so it'd be up on 800 feet of line and it would start drifting away, and then the line would lay across the field I was on, across the parking lot, and then I'd start pulling it up, and it would get up high. And it was the only kite we could have up at that point because there was just not enough wind. And so just fascinating to see the action of it as it flies. And again, it's a kite I made, so I'm even more fascinated by it, I guess.
Right. So that's was that flown or owned?
That was flown.
Okay. So favorite kite you've owned?
Favorite kind of kite I've owned. Yeah, it's tough. I think I'll go with another one that I fly a lot, which actually I made, but it wasn't my design. It was a Robert Brasington workshop kite, and it's a Brasington Ray, um, and
Those are gorgeous.
yeah, it's got sort of this. It's a black ray shape, but with a gradient color of I don't know gill-like things in its belly, and then these two long organza tails. Um, and that's a kite. Why I would say it's the favorite one that I own is because that's the kite that I often pull out when I get to a festival in the morning and the winds are kind of low, and I want to get something up that's a little showy and I
Hmm.
know will fly, and I get it up there and it'll fly all day.
For sure.
And Yeah, so I think that's a good show kite, and I really like it. Um, yeah. So
So finally, favorite design then.
favorite design and design. What do we mean? Do we mean structure? Do we mean art?
I mean, it could be any of those. It could be a graphic you really like doing. It could be a kite shape. Um, it, it uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've gotten all different answers. Kind of why I like that one.
Yeah. I guess yeah, where I'll go with this one on this sort of favorite design, um, is I'm going to go to the kite at which I discovered I'm an artist. And it's a simple. It's actually a Mike Mosman modified Edo design. That was an online kite workshop, but it's a big rectangular uh, sail, and so I'm going to talk about the design, the artistic design I
Sure.
put on there. I did a memorial kite for my best friend Tom. Best friends for 50 years. He died of esophageal cancer, and so I wanted a memorial kite. So I did white on white applique, and I came up with this design based on we did a lot of games together, board games, computer games, all this stuff over the years, and so I came up with a design where I had different motifs of that, and I put it on like this little path going into disappearing into infinity. So I had to learn about perspective and all that, um, and then I put a in periwinkle, which is the color for the cancer ribbon for esophageal cancer. I put a uh, the way he signed cards to me was he'd put this little cartoon face on there. So I put one of his faces on there, and then I put the cancer ribbon with tails coming off the bottom. And yeah, so what happened was when I had finished that sale, I had it sitting up in the basement. And my wife came down and she looked at it and she's like, "Rich, you're an artist." And I was like, "What? Holy cow!" I guess I am. And so that was a discovery for me. And I flew that a couple days ago here and was had a little cry out in the field. And but yeah, so it's transformative for me. So I'm gonna go with that as my favorite design.
Excellent. Rich, thanks for the time.
Thanks so much, Jesse. I enjoyed. Awesome.
That was so much fun. Getting to spend some time with Richard at convention. And I should note, Richard stayed for about half of the week, then cannonballed down to Long Beach Island, to the Surf City Kite Festival there, flew the indoor performance there, and then came back to convention. So he was well traveled that week, and I really appreciate him taking the time to come chat. As always, thank you to all of you for liking, following, subscribing, and sharing, and we will see you out there, Skyrider.